Topline News at 10, Special Edition, Election 94. Brought to you in part by your friendly neighborhood Dodge dealers.
Good evening, everyone. The endorsed candidates are faring the worst in the races for Minnesota governor.
Let's get started with the latest numbers now. First, in the race for Minnesota governor, the incumbent Arne Carlson with 65% of the vote, followed by challenger Quist with 35%. Now that's with 8% of the precincts counted.
On the DFL side, former State Commerce Commissioner Mike Hatch is leading at this hour. Hatch had appeared in third place in some polls as recently as 3 weeks ago. Now Hatch with 44%, John Marty, the endorsed candidate, 32%, and Tony Boza at 23%. Now, throughout the night, we're going to join our sister station in the Twin Cities, KARE, as they interview candidates for Minnesota's major races, and we will be going there, hopefully, for Governor Arne Carlson as quickly as we were expecting him to be making a statement at about 10 o'clock. Now, that has been delayed, and we're waiting to hear from him as soon as we can. And when the governor appears, we'll be going to our sister station, and in fact, I believe he's there right now. Let's go.
In the metro area. And as you know, 2 out of every 3 voters that vote in the state of Minnesota come from the metro area. So it looks like Governor Carlson, he's making his way through the room. He'll probably come up to the podium and talk in a couple of minutes. They're billing this as a victory celebration here at the Minneapolis Marriott. We're going to hold off on declaring him a victor for just a little bit longer. But he's coming through right now, and we'll get a couple words with him in just a couple minutes.
All right, David, we'll get back to you as soon as the governor's ready. Right now, we want to go to Bernie Grace in Minneapolis. He's standing by at Tony Boza's headquarters. Bernie?
With Tony.
Yes, we've got Tony Boza with us. He just talked to his supporters here. Tony, the early returns are not showing that you're winning in the metro area. You told me this afternoon you had to win in the metro area to pull this off. What are your thoughts now?
My thoughts are to await for the returns and see when the people have spoken. The voice of the people has not yet been heard. I don't know what that voice will sound like. I intend to listen to its song, and when I hear the final note and conclude as to what may or may not be the outcome, I will decide then whether I've won or lost.
Are you encouraged by these early returns?
I'm neither encouraged nor discouraged. I'm simply watching and waiting, and I don't think that I need to be spooked, and I don't think I need to be encouraged. I think I simply need to watch.
Final question. Your campaign people told me you took a dive in the polls right after your controversial gun control plan came out. Do you have any regrets about coming out with that a week ago?
No, this campaign has been about truth and about hard issues. And if you're going to lose on hard issues and truth and integrity and honesty, so be it. That would be sad, but I'm willing to accept my fate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, and that was obviously Bernie Grace from our affiliate in the Twin Cities, KARE in Minneapolis, with Tony Boza.
Now here back in the Northland, the DFL party is at the Casa de Roma restaurant in Duluth. Barbara Riles is there as well.
Thanks, David. Michelle, things are picking up here as the numbers come in. They're reacting pretty understandably or expectedly here. Joining me now is Don Bai with the DFL party. Don, what do you think? The DFL endorsed candidate not ahead at this point. What do you think?
I don't think anything's too different from what was anticipated after polls over the past several weeks. I think the surprising thing that we've heard so far is that Boza dropped off as quickly as he did and is as low as he's running in this area.
If Hatch comes out on top, will this DFL party here be supportive of him, and will you be able to accomplish what you want?
I think everyone will have to speak for themselves. Hatch will have to do a number of things to get back to the party.
I'm going to have to interrupt you for a minute. I understand that Arne Carlson is standing by at the station. We have Arne Carlson live in the Twin Cities. We're going to go there, and we're going to come back to us a little bit later.
And the best first lady this state ever had is a magnificent wife. To all of you, I want to say thank you very, very much. And more than anything else, I want to make certain that if the night continues as it appears to be going, that we do everything we can to bring together a broad-based Republican Party so we win in November. of the metro. Well, it does look promising, I will acknowledge that. But I do hope that we can put aside those concerns and those issues that have divided us and begin to focus exclusively on all of those concerns and those issues that bring us together as Republicans and bring us together as Minnesotans. All during the campaign, we said that we wanted a political party that was inclusive. Now is the time to demonstrate that we really meant it, and that means that every single person, every person who wants to come on board our train is absolutely welcome. We want you on.
Very obviously happy Governor Arnie Carlson down in the Twin Cities declaring victory
Now,
tonight.
Barbara Riles is still standing by live at the DFL headquarters in Duluth at the Casa de Roma. Barbara.
Thanks, guys. Don agreed to wait around while Arnie Carlson had his say. Now you know who the enemy is. We still don't know who's going to be in the DFL corner, but what do you think? Is Arnie Carlson defeatable?
Sure he is. Others thought that too, including the Republicans, with the run against him as an incumbent governor, which is highly unusual, and that shows a lot of dissatisfaction with Arnie Carlson. So sure, the chance is still there. Our candidate isn't selected yet, and probably won't be for several hours.
At this point, as we said, Hatch is leading the pack. If he is the one to face Arnie Carlson, and indeed perhaps wins the election, what kind of a governor would he be for northeastern Minnesota, Don?
He's a native of northeastern Minnesota, so I guess he'd have a head start, if that's the way it plays out. And I don't think any of us are ready to predict one way or another on that at this time of the evening. But if Hatch is the winner, then I guess the Central Committee and Executive Committee will have to take a strong look at his candidacy this weekend, as a matter of fact.
You expect this group of people to rally behind Hatch if he's the one?
I think everyone here would have to speak for themselves, and if we have 50 or 100 people in and around this room, there'll be that many different opinions.
All right, Don Bine, thanks very much for joining us. We're going to take it back to the studio, Michelle and Dave.
Thank you very much, Barbara Riles, live at the Casa de Roma with Northland DFLers.
Of course, there are other major races, primary races here tonight in Minnesota. For the U.S. Senate, on the independent Republican side, Jonelle Deerstead with 31% of the vote, Rod Grams with 63%. That's with 8% of the precincts counted.
And on the DFL side, we've got Ann Winia, the endorsed candidate, leading substantially with 58%, leading Tom Foley, her next closest contender, with 32% of the vote. Now, we are going to go back with our affiliate KARE in the Twin Cities. We understand they have John Marty's campaign.
Let's pick up his comment.
How do you see things coming out?
It's going to be a long night, but I'm very optimistic about the way it's going. I think we'll pull out a victory in the end. It's going to be close, and we're waiting until the last precincts report. But I hope we're going to do it.
It's still early in the returns. How do you think your whole effort and focus towards campaign contribution limits and ethics reform is playing with the voters tonight?
It's been a positive. I think the public understands. It makes it harder to run the campaign that way, but the voters understand the corrosive influence big money's had on politics. They're ready for a change. That's why I think we're going to pull it out.
As a result of your campaign contribution limits, you were not able to go out and advertise as much as the other opponents. Are you regretting that?
Well, we've had a lot of people power behind us. If you look at the crowd around here, it's phenomenal, and I think that's what should make the difference in politics.
All right. Thank you very much, and good luck to you. John Marty, DFL endorsed candidate.
And that was obviously live in the Twin Cities, John Marty, the DFL endorsed candidate.
What I find interesting, Duke, on that side, nobody seems to be willing to give up defeat just yet.
Well, I think the time has come for John Marty to be a little more open and honest with himself than he is at this point. I think Mike Hatch's lead in the in the metro area that we are beginning to see now, keeping in mind also that 2 out of every 3 votes in the state of Minnesota comes from the metro area, even though that about 25% of all DFL votes in the state of Minnesota come from the 8th district.
And we're seeing the metro votes first,
yeah,
though.
you put together big Hatch numbers up here, and then you put together a lead in the Twin Cities where all the voting power is, and it seems pretty clear that Mike Hatch is going to win.
Former governor used to call it, for former Governor purpose, used to call it the canoe vote.
Yeah, as well, because people up here do really get and make an effort to get to the polls. You know, also, I think if you look at, we had the Governor Carlson on earlier, I think you see a defeat tonight for the Christian right, and I think that's really what it is, and you have to call it that. I mean, heavens, it's 71, 29% in the Twin
labor
Cities.
factor here?
I think you are seeing a labor factor. You know, some polls had Tony Boza as low as 13% among union voters. And then keep in mind that the Teamsters have endorsed Governor Carlson. Now, traditionally, you always count on what in Minnesota? That the Democrats are going to get the union vote, and here you have the Teamsters endorsing Governor Carlson. That's a big change as well.
Now, we're going to have some, obviously, more live from the Twin Cities and a whole lot more results coming up momentarily.
But first, we have a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Question: what's America's #1 selling minivan? What minivan is under $16,400 with all this and is only at your Dodge dealer? Answer: Dodge Caravan. So go get the family. For all the answers, see your nearest Dodge dealer today. Question: why is now the perfect time to buy a new Dodge car or truck? Answer: the Dodge Summer Clearance Celebration. So hurry in right now.
Coast to coast, in little towns and big cities in between. One cellular network has everyone talking. Cellular One, clear across America.
Topline News at 10, Special Edition, Election 94. Brought to you in part by your friendly neighborhood Dodge dealers, and Cellular One will continue in a moment.
We're going to double all the Powerball cash prizes between $1 and $100,000. Hi, I'm Mike Pace, and for 4 weeks, that's 8 Powerball drawings. You'll have a chance to double all your prizes except the jackpot with the Powerball Doubler. Just purchase a $5 Powerball ticket for any drawing during this promotion, and you're eligible for that drawing. We'll even guarantee these prizes will double at least once during the promotion. So don't miss out on the exciting Powerball Doubler.
There is little doubt that Alan Quist supporters turned out at the polls today, and quite heavily. The problem was there simply just wasn't enough of them.
Now, Stephanie Guadian has been following the Republican and Quist race, and she's standing by tonight to talk about that. Stephanie?
Well, that's right, David and Michelle. There really was no doubt that those supporters would come out in full force tonight, and that's exactly what they did. Problem was, there may not have been enough of them, but the Quist campaign says they're not giving up.
Well, we're going to do a lot better outstate than we are in the metro, and the Secretary of State's numbers that we have that include some outstate gives us about 42%, and it's coming up. So we're just going to hang in there and see what the numbers show as they come in.
How has the night been going here at the party? You describe it for us.
Well, you know, the people here are totally committed, very dedicated, and what they're saying is that regardless of what happens tonight, this is just the beginning, and there's a lot more coming.
Well, polls show people that support Alan Quist are those opposed to abortion and those who say they've had a born-again Christian experience. Quist support has always been in the conservative side of the IR party, and it is that group that stole the IR endorsement from Governor Arnie Carlson and helped thrust Alan Quist into the spotlight. The battle between the conservatives and moderates to gain control of the party gained national attention, but the Quist campaign has been plagued from problems right from the start, and many of those problems have centered on money. The Arnie Carlson campaign has been able to raise twice as much money as the Quist campaign. But now that Arnie Carlson is well on his way to becoming the next IR candidate for governor, many are wondering where the anti-abortionists will cast their ballots come next November. There is speculation that many of those conservatives will jump party and vote for DFL candidate Mike Hatch, who is now leading in the polls and who has recently won the endorsement of the Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life, a group that you can bet will come out in full force come this November. I'm Stephanie Guadian reporting live. Now back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie Guadian. Now, let's take a look ahead to some of the legislative races around the region. Obviously, it's a busy night for the legislative races across the Northland. This is the Senate, State Senate District 25 in Wisconsin. This is the Republican race. Now, these will be the individuals who, the winner here would be opposing Bob Jauk. And you can see Russ Corporal ahead of Gosh Kabas, 59% to 41%. In the Wisconsin 74th Assembly District, Barb Linton and leading John Stedman, handily Barb Linton, obviously the incumbent there.
Okay, and now moving on to the House District 5A seat in Minnesota for the DFL. Nancy Nelson with 30 votes, Tom Rukavina, the incumbent there, with 33% of the vote, and that's with 8% of the precincts counted.
In District 5B, the DFL, again, very early numbers. Dave Tomasoni ahead of John Spanish, 33 to 13, 5% of the precincts.
And to House District 7A on the DFL side, George Gregorich with 319 votes, Richard Ritchie, 496, Willard Munger, the incumbent, with 1,001 votes, and Russ Salge, 115 votes.
Now, 7B, we've got Duluth City Councilor Chris Dahlberg with leading slightly, 332 votes over Lloyd Vino, 278. That's with over half the precincts. However, that's still a fairly close race.
Some interesting results so soon in the night.
You bet. And there's more ahead on this election coverage tonight.
We'll take a look at the day's top news stories, plus meteorologist George Kessler's forecast in a moment as this special edition of Topline News continues.
Question. Name Motor Trend's 94 Truck of the Year. What truck offers overall the most powerful lineup of engines on the planet and is only at your Dodge dealer? Answer, Dodge Ram. Now get to work. For all the answers, see your nearest Dodge dealer. Question. Why is now the perfect time to buy a new Dodge car or truck? Answer, the Dodge Summer Clearance Celebration. So hurry in right now.
If you're thinking of getting a new battery for your car, Walmart has good news for you.
Now, every new Energizer or Champion Silver Core car battery from Walmart comes with a 2-year free replacement guarantee.
That's 2 full years with free replacement.
And 1 year free replacement on every new Omega battery.
So come on into Walmart for the batteries and the prices you can always count on.
Always low prices, always Walmart.
Topline News at 10, Special Edition, Election 94. Brought to you in part by your friendly neighborhood Dodge dealers, and Cellular One will continue in a moment. How do you choose your news? The Radio and Television News Directors Association chose KBJR Channel 6 as the overall station of excellence. The Minnesota Associated Press picked KBJR Channel 6 as Greater Minnesota's best newscast of the year. And now, more Northland households choose KBJR Channel 6 for weekday evening news at 5 and 6 p.m. KBJR Channel 6, Choice News.
Now, obviously, there's another big statewide race in the region here in Minnesota tonight.
The U.S. Senate race in Minnesota. Now on the IR side, we have Rod Grams with 63% of the vote and Jonelle Deerstead with 31%. Now that's with 8% of the precincts counted.
On the DFL side, we have Tom Foley coming up substantially short. A few more precincts here. Ann Winnie at 61%, Foley 34%, 17% of precincts. Duke Skorich, let's talk about this for a minute.
This race really turned ugly in the last couple of days. I mean, charges really flying back and forth, the fur ruffled by both campaigns. You know, Tom Foley said early on that the Democrats were bent on self-destruction by putting 2 ultra-liberals for the Minnesota public to vote for. Well, they threw out John Marty in the endorsement process, but Ann Winnie was picked. No matter what was going to happen, the Democrats were going to have a woman nominee. Tom Foley realized that early on, tried to fight it, but couldn't. Ann Winnie spent an awful lot of time in Northeast Minnesota.
And a lot of money.
And a lot of money, too, but an awful lot of time in Northeast Minnesota.
Very different than the governor's race, though. We've got the endorsed candidate coming out substantially ahead.
Well, in a sense, Minnesota was going to vote for a woman. And that's plain and clear as what on the Democratic side they were going to do. The Democrats were bound and determined that she was going to be there. You know, this thing about selection of candidates, let's just come right back to the city of Duluth for a second. And in the 7B race, you know, the Republicans really launched a search to try to find somebody to tackle Mike Jaros. They really wanted to pick off this 7B seat. And so there were a lot of Republican candidates who were being touted, names were being polled out there to try to find who the best candidate was. Nobody wanted to really run for it. Lloyd Vino said as the last resort, I'll run, and then City Councilor Chris Dahlberg jumped in, and now Dahlberg has about a 70 vote lead.
One we'll be following as the night wears on. Now, we're going to take another break, and we still have a lot more ahead in this special election coverage.
Including George Kessler's meteorological outlook for the next few days. There we go. Get it
Back
out.
after this.
Don't go away.
Question: what car changed everything? What truly remarkable car comes at a price you can afford and only at your Dodge dealer? Answer: Dodge Intrepid. I'll bet you knew that. For all the answers, see your nearest Dodge dealer. Question: why is now the perfect time to buy a new Dodge car or truck? Answer: the Dodge Summer Clearance Celebration. So hurry in right now.
Coast to coast, in little towns and big cities in between. One cellular network has everyone talking. Cellular One, clear across America.
Topline News at 10, Special Edition, Election 94. Brought to you in part by your friendly neighborhood Dodge dealers, and Cellular One will continue in a moment.
Who decided at what point that it was acceptable to fry a burger? This goes against millions of years of evolutionary instinct. I'm sorry, but burgers taste best cooked over an open flame. That's how the caveman did it. That's how Dad did it. That's how Burger King does it. I take the Whopper. Big hunk of beef cooked over actual fire. Now only 99 cents. Millions of years after the first burger, it's only 99 cents. That's got to be pretty close to what it cost back then, right?
Burger King, get your burger's worth.
Oh, how about this? We'll do a little weather now, folks. Temperatures at this hour in the middle 60s, some spots right around 70 degrees. This is still really muggy for sleeping. Oh, what fun it is on election night. 69 degrees, some parts in the center state. 68 degrees for Green Bay, 68 also for Shell Lake, 64 at Ashland, and 60 degrees at International Falls. Let's take a look outside. Temperatures downtown 56 degrees. Airport is 60, Superior 56, Hibbing 67, 0.13 of an inch precipitation today. More might be added in the form of drizzle, but certainly not much. Foggy skies, east winds at 12. Those two things right there are your combo as far as getting the old cold temperatures going, combining with that nice warm stuff off the main area of the land. Dew point is 59 and the barometer is rising. This is why we have all the clouds and fog. A front has been stalled over our region for the last few days, and it's just sitting here cranking out rain. Now today we haven't seen as much in the Northland, especially in the Minnesota sections, but northwestern Wisconsin has been seeing steady rains in many locations, and that's likely to continue over the next couple of days. There's a trail of moisture which leads off our screen down to the Gulf of California, and as long as that keeps getting cranked into our area, we at least see the risk of showers. Now for the most part, I think they're going to stay to our south tomorrow, but there will be one or two making it in here, and then by tomorrow night I think steadier rain showers will be working their way to the north. So be advised, it is going to be coming our way. Here's your forecast for the overnight hours. Pea soup, fog, and drizzle. Cooler downtown. We are going to have low temperatures, 58 degrees on the range, 55 near the lake. And then as we look at Wednesday, not a whole lot different from today. Cloudy skies, more showers and fog, maybe a glimpse of sunshine on the range, definitely cooler by the lake. And our 5-day forecast features a lot of rain right through Friday. Back to Dave and Michelle.
All right, thank you very much, George. Here now, a look at the day's top news stories away from the ballot box. Don't adjust your sets. You have seen this story before. The on-again, off-again Palucci pasta plant in Hibbing is off again, and Gino Palucci is threatening to cancel the entire proposal.
At issue this time is a finance agreement between Palucci and the IRRB. In a newspaper advertisement, Palucci claimed the interest rate on the financing package had been increased by the IRRB nearly 2% without his approval. The IRRB says it has the right to adjust the interest rates on loans. No new meetings have been scheduled.
The St. Louis County Board, after much debate this morning, voted 4-3 in favor of a proposed levy increase of 2.5%. What that means is that the board can go up to a 2.5% increase when they set the levy later this year. It doesn't mean, however, they have to increase that levy at all.
That the board needs to recognize that people are really being pushed. They can't afford more taxes. And I think there has to be recognition of that by this board. And I think that this board has an obligation to hold the line at a 0% increase.
The county levy amounts to about 1/2 of the property tax paid. The board will set the final levy in December.
New reports say autopsy results in the Cora Jones murder indicate the young girl was beaten, strangled, and stabbed before her body was dumped in Langlade County. Sources close to the case say the 12-year-old was sexually assaulted. Hunters found Cora's body Saturday north of Antigua, about 75 miles north of the spot near her grandmother's rural Wapaka home, where she disappeared while biking September 5th. Police in Michigan's Upper Peninsula said today they have released a man they were questioning in the case.
Well, it certainly is a big night. Returns are coming in the local races here in the Northland.
And of course, we're going to be looking at a whole lot more of those races, particularly the local ones here. Let's take a look at some of the boards now, see what kinds of numbers we've got around the area. Let's start with the St. Louis County Sheriff's race, in which incumbent Gary Waller handily ahead of his challengers here. You see the Waller numbers, 4,200 votes. This is with 56% of the precincts in.
Moving on to Keewatin, the Keewatin Council, Kerry Sullivan, the incumbent, with 275 votes, and Tom Cook, 104. The both of them will move on to the November election. And Keewatin Clerk Cheryl Johnson and Jewel Graves will move on to November's election.
The Lake County Commissioner race, District 4. We've got a very tight race here. Obviously, now we're looking at the top two vote getters. Steve Wisnes, the incumbent, 199. Willard Clark, 193. This is 37% of the precincts reporting so far. The top two vote getters moving ahead. In the Ashland County, now let's move over into Wisconsin quickly. In Ashland County, the sheriff's race. Now, this is on the Republican side. The winner here will move on, and Mike Hansen well ahead of Bob Holmes in this race.
All right, there's still much more to come on this special expanded edition of Topline News at 10.
We'll go back to the centers of activity in the Twin Cities and around the Northland. Plus, we'll have more analysis of tonight's primary election in a moment.
So stay with us.
Question: what's America's #1 selling minivan? What minivan is under $16,400 with all this and is only at your Dodge dealer? Answer: Dodge Caravan. So go get the family. For all the answers, see your nearest Dodge dealer today.
Question: why is now the perfect time to buy a new Dodge car or truck? Answer: the Dodge Summer Clearance Celebration. So hurry in right now.
It's Hardee's Big Deluxe Challenge. We're across from Burger King to compare the Whopper to Hardee's Big Deluxe.
Look at this.
Now reduced to just 99 cents.
It's 99 cents.
99 cents. And it has cheese,
Cheese. You can't get a Whopper with cheese for 99 cents.
a quarter pound of beef, cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, and pickles. It's thicker than a Whopper, that's for sure. 99 cents for a very limited time. The Big Deluxe at Hardee's, now only 99 cents, but not for long.
That's chump change, man.
And for breakfast, try Hardee's Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit for only 99 cents.
Topline News at 10, Special Edition, Election 94. Brought to you in part by your friendly neighborhood Dodge dealers and Cellular One will continue in a moment.
Tonight on The Tonight Show, Jay welcomes John Larroquette and Suzanne Summers.
You know, until this evening, I've never had to physically beat a guest before. Check it out.
Then Conan's got Meg Tilly, NBC Night Shift tonight.
Welcome back to Channel 6 News, continuing coverage of tonight's primary election results.
Let's go back to Barbara Riles at the Casa de Roma, where Northland DFLers have gathered to watch the election returns come in. Barbara.
They've been watching pretty happily here too, Dave and Michelle. Nancy Larson has just gotten off the phone with her running mate, John Marty. And how's the candidate feeling at this point?
He's feeling really good. He's still feeling optimistic. Our numbers are bouncing all over, as you know, and it'll probably be a really long night. But we're feeling good about it.
He's not ready to concede yet. Some here were saying that maybe he should concede.
It's really too early to do anything. I think there's been, still have a long time to go, a lot more precincts to come in around the state. No, I don't think we haven't even gotten the Iron Range numbers yet.
Are you expecting good things from the Iron Range?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I grew up there.
You're not going out on a limb, are you?
No, I grew up there. I'm hoping we do well. I know that there's been a lot of people working really hard on our behalf. A lot of the union people have been really doing everything they can. And that's the main thing, is we've got some good people behind us. We've run a good campaign. We feel so great about it. We've run, I think, a real positive campaign. We've done a campaign like no one's ever done before. I feel good about that.
Numbers are still coming in, as you say. We'll be watching. In the Ann Winnie race, AP has declared her a winner. What do you think about that?
I'm so excited. I just think that's wonderful. She's done a great job. She'll make a wonderful senator, and I'm looking forward to her being there.
Nancy Larson, thanks very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Back to you, Dave Michelle.
Thank you, Barbara Rouse, live at the Casadroma with the DFL.
Stephanie Guadian is in Wisconsin tonight with more on the races there. Stephanie, can you hear us over there?
Yes, I can, David and Michelle. This may only be the primary, but Wisconsin voters are choosing a Douglas County sheriff this evening, and that's because there were no Republican candidates on the ticket. Tonight's primary is actually serving as the election. We've got about 70% of those precincts reporting right now. Marv Arneson, who is the incumbent Douglas County sheriff, is showing a pretty strong lead. Rich Lindbergh is a close second, and Joe Davidowski is pulling up third. Well, there are quite a few people mulling around here in the Douglas tallied, and here's a man who is anxiously awaiting for those votes to be tallied. This is Ron Thorson, and you are running for the District 73 representative seat. How are things looking for you right now?
Well, we didn't do as well as we thought we would do in the city, and so we're looking to the county now to see if there's any strong turnout. Preliminary indications are we got a 3-1 victory in Gordon, 77-22, but some of the other ones are of less margin. We have about a 900 vote difference to make up. That's a substantial amount, and I think we'll know pretty soon whether or not we'd even have an opportunity to do that.
But the night is young and you're not giving up.
No, we haven't given up quite yet. No, we're gonna look at the few that come in here early now and see how that goes. We also have Washburn County that we have to take into account. Also 3 townships in Bayfield County. So there are numbers that could accumulate, but we have quite a hill to climb.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us. And David and Michelle, as he said, there is still a lot of counting to be done here at the Douglas County Courthouse, and we'll keep you up to date throughout the night, but now I'm going to send it on back to the two of you.
Thank you, Stephanie Guadian, live in Douglas County. Now, Duke Skorich. How about, we're looking at November. Take a look at what's happened so far. What's it going to be for November?
I think based on the voter primary turnout we've had, I think we can expect a very exciting election in November, because I think people up here have their interest in particular, and we have to look at our region. I think their interest has been piqued in this election season. I think we have incredible heavy numbers coming in from some areas like Hibbing and Cloquet. I think the city of Duluth is going to show quite well, more than some people have predicted. And there are a number of interesting races. I mean, some of the Democrats who have long held power have challengers on the Republican side, some of the stronger ones that we've seen in quite a while. And we look up the North Shore, we're going to have a new seat, a new legislator elected there. And by the way, I should tell you that the numbers we are just discussing when we were watching Stephanie, the numbers for the state of Minnesota and the governor's race are getting very tight.
Very close. We can't put that DFLer to bed yet, that race.
And no, as a matter of fact, I was listening, and there are now, at this point, I mean, it's going to be another one of those DFL bar burners, and that is good for the electoral process because people's interest really gets aroused.
In fact, we're going to be going over all the latest numbers. We have updated numbers on all of these races, and we're going to be the governors and the Senate races. We're going to take a look at those right now, I guess. Here's the IR governor's races, if we can take a look at the numbers. Now, this is with 34% of the precincts. We're looking at Carlson, obviously 71%, Quist 29%. There's no argument here.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, and I think at this point they've already declared that Arnie Carlson is going to win that race. That's already declared.
Now moving on to the DFL side, we have Hatch with 44%, Marty with 32%, and Boza with 23%. That's only 8% of the precincts now in the Twin Cities.
And we understand that it has actually gotten closer now.
Right, in the Twin Cities, it's a
bigger,
big difference there.
The computers haven't had a chance to update it, but that race is getting very tight.
Okay. Now, the Senate side, and on the Republican side, no real race here. Deerstead has closed the gap a little bit, but Grams continues to lead substantially.
One of the more conservative congressmen from the state of Minnesota ever.
Grams.
Okay, now on the DFL side for that U.S. Senate seat, Ann Wynia with 61% of the vote.
And Wynia's going to be challenging Rod Grams in November.
All right. Well, that's it for Topline News for now. Now, this is our regular, or this is our special edition of Topline News, 35 minutes, but we are going to continue.
We'll be updating you throughout the evening, so.
Good night.
Provided by Reinholz, Miller Hill Mall, main entrance.
Blind.